Hi everyone, I'm Neale Petersen from Real Estate Investor and welcome to the Investor Talk Show. And today we're diving into entrepreneurial and property finance with one of South Africa's most impactful funders, Business Partners Limited. And we've hosted webinars on student accommodation and property finance with business partners, and we're now looking deeper at development funding and the ecosystem that supports South African entrepreneurs. And joining me today is Veroshen Naidoo. He's the Chief Investment Officer at Business Partners Limited. So Veroshen, great to have you with us. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Neil, and thank you for the time. Appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure. So let's jump straight in. Let's talk a little bit about the business partner story, Veroshen. I mean, business partners, they've got a proud legacy in entrepreneurial finance. For those who might not know the full story, can you maybe just share how the company did begin and what was the original vision behind the company?
So, Neil, we were founded in 1981. Many of the SMEs out there would know us as Small Business Development Corporation, the SBDC. But in 1998, we changed our focus and became Business Partners Limited. So we've been around for the past 44 years, quite prominent within the SME space. And we'd like to think of ourselves as a leader in SME financing.
Fantastic. So how's that vision evolved over the decades as South Africa's business and property landscape?
Yeah, so initially we were a microfinancier, so catering for smaller businesses, emerging startup. We've now changed our business model where our funding ranges up to 50 million rand. So it's more your medium-sized enterprises, businesses that play a bigger role within the SME space within South Africa. So we've adapted our business model to accommodate those lifestyle businesses.
Excellent. So, I mean, you've often been described as the funder with a heart for entrepreneurs, which I think certainly differentiates you. I mean, and what makes your approach to funding fundamentally different from traditional banks or lenders?
Yeah, so I think one of the fundamentals is that your traditional commercial financiers look at more security-based financing before they afford the entrepreneur or business an opportunity. With business partners, our main focus and our cornerstone is viability. So we assess the viability of a business first before making an informed decision in investing in that business, other than just looking at security lending.
Okay, great. So can you maybe just share an example? You don't have to mention the company's name, but just example of a deal or business that business partners backed, and one that probably a traditional financier might have turned down.
Yeah, so a simple application could be a PDI entrepreneur that's considering funding. And we know with many PDI businesses or entrepreneurs, they don't have that security to offer. So with business partners, we take a very different approach. So we look at the concept and the viability of that business plan. So just by way of an example, if an entrepreneur is considering a 1 million rand investment or loan into his business, but he's only got collateral of about 200 to 300,000. So your commercial financiers would look at it at least a 1-to-1 cover, if not a 0.8. With business partners, like I mentioned, we consider the viability. So we're willing to take the risk. Our market is very different. It's a niche risk financier position that we take. So we can consider risk, but obviously for that risk, there's a little higher return that we get compensated for in that transaction. But it's got to be a win-win for the entrepreneur and business partners.
Okay, excellent. So I mean, you've supported thousands of entrepreneurs and property investors. I mean, what impact figures or success stories best capture your footprint and legacy across South Africa?
Yeah, so the one thing we'd like to look at is obviously your job creation, job maintained. So we've contributed about over 800,000 worth of jobs within South Africa. We see that as a pain point within the SME industry and specifically South Africa with the unemployment rate at the levels that we see it. So, I mean, for us, a tap on our shoulder is that we've actually contributed towards maintaining jobs and jobs creation within South Africa and the entire economy.
Well, that's fantastic. So, I mean, are there any particular sectors or entrepreneur profiles you're seeing stronger demand from in the current climate?
Yeah, so at the moment, it's more infrastructure. So your residential property development, and specifically residential, where you're getting students who want to occupy a property. There has been a shortage in the number of beds provided by universities. So business partners at the moment, so we're quite actively involved in student accommodation properties. But across the whole, we finance across all industries except for primary agriculture and on lending. So we're
Okay,
quite open to business in all industries.
great. So, I mean, how do you assess risk and potential in these property deals? I mean, especially given the current interest rate and lending environment.
Yeah, so we back the entrepreneur. For us, we rely on that jockey running that business and that development. So we look at the expertise of that developer, we look at the market, the saleability of that property, and the demand for rental income in that space.
Okay. So, from your perspective, what are some of the biggest challenges entrepreneurs face today when it comes to accessing finance or scaling sustainably?
Yeah, so the one could be security, like I mentioned, in terms of many entrepreneurs got that inkling that they, in order for them to access funding, they need to have security, which is not the case with many development financiers such as ourselves. The red tape that they experience is the governance. I think there's a lot of governance that needs to go into place before they access funding in terms of getting the documents in order. So my advice would be to the entrepreneurs: engage in professional services, get all your documents in order when accessing funding, as opposed to just submitting whatever information that's not required by an institution and then they get rejected, which just delays it. I think the other challenges that entrepreneurs face is municipalities, the issuing of rates clearance certificates when it comes to rezoning of a property. That time delay obviously affects their business, affects their profitability, and delays the project in its entirety.
Okay. So, how's business partners adapting or innovating to close those gaps? I mean, through mentorship, education, or tailored funding models?
Yeah, so we have an expert resource center. So we've got also quite a large complement of investment professionals where the entrepreneurs can lean onto these investment professionals that assess the documentation and would obviously give them advice on how to expedite it quicker and take them through that entire process. So it's not just let me receive the application, go through it. So we engage directly with the entrepreneur, which makes us very different, sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Veroshen, I mean, you've been with partners for some time. I mean, what keeps you motivated about the company's mission and the work you do every day?
Yeah, so I'm here 20 years, part of the furniture. But you know what? I just love what I'm doing. I think the delight that you get when you approve a client's funding and you see the delight in his face that, you know what, he's been approved, he's got that funding, and the impact that he makes for his employees, but not just his employees, the families under the employees. So for me, if you're passionate about that and contributing towards the SMEs, you know what, you got to feel for it and you will just keep continuing and ticking on.
Excellent. So, is there a particular entrepreneurial project that stands out or one that reminded you why this work really matters?
Yeah. I think when I first started, it was an entrepreneur that we funded in KZN. He was a hawker for about 5 or 6 years, just selling vegetables off the street. And eventually he's identified an opportunity. Let me rent a property and make it more formal. And now he's got about 5 butcheries. He's built up a nice property portfolio from having nothing to now having a substantial property portfolio and a business that he can leave now as a legacy to his family.
That's fantastic. So, I mean, we've seen the South African economy has had its fair shares of ups and downs. So, how does business partners balance caution with the need to take bold bets on entrepreneurs and property investors?
Yeah, so I mean, there's always risk in it. We're in that space as risk financing. So you got to obviously look at the projected the way forward on where you perceive that client to be. You're going to be doing due diligence on that industry specifically. There's many industries that are high risk, but others that are actually taking off nicely. So it's a matter of having expertise and experience in it, and which we've got. We've got 44 years of experience to determine that.
Fantastic. So has that balance shifted since COVID-19 or amid the current high interest rate environment?
Yeah, I mean, many businesses got used to the 7.5% interest rates. Since post-COVID, those interest rates have increased. You've seen many startup businesses fail during that period. So my advice would be you got to have access to backup funding, especially during those difficult times. We've seen a shift in a lot of industries where it's now become more high risk, but there's other industries that are thriving. You got to identify the opportunity. And as an entrepreneur, you're resilient. So you know what, you identify it and you go full heartedly towards it.
Fantastic. So as you look to the next 3 to 5 years, what's your vision for business partners and where do you see the biggest opportunity for growth and impact?
I think a lot of the opportunities in digital transformation with business partners, we're incorporating and adapting that into our systems to streamline the processes to make access to funding more easily available for entrepreneurs. So digital transformation, your tech companies, manufacturing for us still remains relevant, and property development in terms of infrastructure building within the SA economy.
Great. So finally,
Another
how? No, no, please
yeah,
add, carry on.
just one more
Yeah.
industry, and this specifically, I've been to the Travel Business Council of South Africa. So
Hmm.
it's an industry that got shocked during COVID. Many of them have now you see the light of day where they're actually taking off. They're getting back to the levels pre-COVID. So that's another industry that's actually very, very looking positive going forward in the next 2 to 3 years.
That's fantastic. So, Veroshen, I mean, there's going to be a lot of entrepreneurs and investors that are looking at the show right now. What would you would suggest how entrepreneurs and property developers position themselves now to take advantage of financing with business partners and the opportunities? How do you suggest they take it forward?
Yeah, so we've got money. We want to obviously outlay that money as quick as possible. There's always opportunity. We nationally based, so it's more awareness that we're creating as well. Always consider that it's not just the commercial bankers that's available. There's also development, alternate source of financing that can assist you. So we can identify that opportunity, and we're available. Our doors are open to finance those individuals.
Fantastic. Veroshen Naaido, Chief Investment Officer of Business Partners. Thank you very much. It was incredibly insightful. If I had to sum up today's conversation, it's clear that Business Partners is more than just a lender. You're a partner and enabler of real growth of South African entrepreneurs and property investors. And for anyone watching who wants to learn or apply for funding, there will be a link. Just drop your questions or comments below. And thank you once again, Veroshen. I'm Neale Petersen, and this has been another REI Power interview. Thanks for watching and keep building smart.